Okay. Hey guys, it's Jacolia of Jacolia Gems. Thank you so much for coming back to my YouTube channel. On today, I'm coming to you from my blog, Survivors Scribe, and I have a guest, someone that I hold near and dear to my heart. His name is Casmir Romel. On last week, we had evangelist LaDonna Jones. So I do thank you guys for viewing that live. On tonight with Casmir, we're going to be going into not only the plights, but the positive aspects of being a Black man in corporate America, as well as church. But we're also going to talk about marriage and divorce and just hear an all around aspect from a man that has operated in leadership in multiple realms and in multiple aspects. Cashmere, if you can introduce yourself to these people, please.
Hello, world. I don't know what you want to call me, minister, elder, pastor, whatever function you think that I am. I'm Casmir Zollicoffer. Me and Tierra have been friends over 20 years. Been a long time. I know I was in high school. So I'm glad that she has me on here. We have both seen each other through some very traumatic situations, and I'm glad I'm able to share my experiences.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on tonight. I do not take it for granted. I know that you're a hardworking man. I also know that you're an introvert and you don't do this often. And
I,
plus,
I'm an introvert around certain people. That if I don't like you, then you get the introverted side of me.
well, I'm an introvert, even if I do like you. But I do thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to share of yourself with us on tonight. As a Black man, to me, it is very important for us to hear from you, especially someone in our age bracket and our demographic. So I do appreciate you for joining us on tonight. So why don't you describe where you're from?
I am from little south suburb of Chicago called Hazel Crest. Um, I've grown up here all my life. I actually moved back here after, being married a couple times. We'll talk about that later. Uh, but I'm from Hazel Crest. I grew up here. Went to school in Country Club Hills, Hillcrest Hawk, go Hawks, class of '05. Um, I've lived a couple of different places, but for the most part, it's been the south suburbs.
Okay, so what demographic would you say that you fit from being from the south side? Well, I'm saying south suburb. We're gonna put a little bougie on it for you.
So repeat that again. I'm sorry.
What demographic would you say that you fit? For the people who don't know anything about Chicago.
What demographic do I fit? Hmm. How can I say this? I don't know if you allow cussing on your platform. I don't know if you got
We
preachers.
grown.
Okay. I'm a nigga when I need to be. I am a professional from 9 to 5, a church boy, and I can give you straight nigga if you push me there. So I'm a mutt if you say I'm mixed. I don't know what I am, but I think I can appeal to all demographics. I can fit somewhere within there, so I don't just pigeonhole myself in one demographic.
What do you say are some misnomers about being a Black man from the south side of Chicago? Because we see everything on the news a lot.
That we're all violent,
Mm,
that we don't know how to communicate intelligently.
mm,
Um, we all communicate out of anger, and part of my demographic is being, growing up with a single mother. So those stereotypes come in to where you think that, oh, he was raised around women, so he must be feminine. Not over here.
mm-hmm.
He must like men, and those kind of things. Or he has father issues, which I have. But through growth and maturity, I've learned how to get past those issues. I had, I don't know if we're going into further questions or whatever, but myself, I've had several different male figures, including your father, to kind of pick up that slack to say, "Hey, son, listen, you're doing a great job," or "Hey, son, you need to chill out." It's I've had all of that. So those big misnomers of violent and angry and especially being a taller, kind of huskier black man, I'm always looked at as the opposing figure. But when you really
Mm.
know me, I'm not opposing. I can be one of the nicest people you met until, So um yeah, it's just all of those negative, hardcore stereotypes that I think we need to break. And it starts from within and then it goes without. I'll say that.
So I know you mentioned being raised by your mom, being raised as someone product of a single parent household, and as majority of the people know, I'm a single mom as well, and I have a 10-year-old son.
Mhm.
Um, Speaking from that, because you have become a professional in leadership and Christianity leadership on the job, just in school, in a lot of different aspects. So, how do you feel when you hear people automatically place you in a box from being a statistic by being born, into a situation like that and knowing that you do not fit the norm?
I feel I feel challenged. It's a challenge to me, and one thing about you and I, we live for a challenge. You know, I've been sized up all of my life, and so I've always had to face opposition. I've always had to be the one or one of the first to actually brave any path, in my family or what have you. So it's a challenge for me. Sometimes it can be insulting because some people will see you and assume that you don't have the wherewithal that they have or the kind of skills that they have because you are from a certain place or you don't know what they know. And it's like, if you really knew what I knew and if you really knew who I was, you wouldn't make such statements. You wouldn't talk to me certain ways. So and sometimes, being the way that I am, it comes off as uh, arrogant and cocky and prideful, when really and truly it's almost a defense mechanism because I've had to do this all of my life. You know, when I grew up, dark skin wasn't in, so I had to fight against the light skin. Now I got to fight against you know, uh, prejudice in the workplace. I've just had to fight my entire existence. So, you know,
You know, because of the way you speak, we're not going to end up sticking to this question script because you are bringing in many different aspects that I believe are hot topics, taboo topics that need to be talked about in our
mhm.
community. And so I love the fact how you, because dark skin wasn't in for a lot of people. My daddy is chocolate, so
He's the
I
right complexion.
chocolate with dimples and well, he has dreads now. But he's a brown skinned man. My mother, may her soul rest in peace,
Yes.
had the complexion of like a Creole woman. So
Hmm.
we was raised in a household with many different shades of brown,
Right.
every shade of brown. And
Right.
so the fact that you mentioned it is strong colorism in the black community. How did you
Yeah.
deal with that as a boy who did not have his father there to reinforce him and to validate him?
I had a very, I had a very strong mother who would look at me and say, "Son, you're handsome. You so handsome," and she built that up in me, what other people were tearing down. And I would come to her and I would tell her like, "Mom, they don't think that I'm handsome in school." And
Mm.
she would tell me, "Your skin is perfect. You got the perfect, excuse me, chocolate skin and stuff like that." So as I grew older and I grew into, we got it. Some of us didn't have it like Tierra. She didn't have to go into her look. Some of us had to grow into our looks. And so after after I grew into my look, Um, I gained all the confidence in the world. So now you can't tell me nothing, especially when I know that I know that I know, like they say in the Apostolic Church, I know that I know that I know. Can't tell me anything, you know. So, but it took years of deprogramming. I don't have an answer for that. Is there something? Siri, sorry. It took years of deprogramming. It took years of I had to come into it for myself. I'm 35 years old, not ashamed to say it, that I didn't learn to love myself and who I was until I was about 33.
Mm.
Did you hear what I said? I said I was 33 years old before I learned to love myself. And that's the reason why I made excuse me, so many stupid decisions because I didn't love me. I was looking for other people to love me. I was looking for validation in church. I was looking for validation in relationships. I was looking for validation in friends. And when all three of those things seemingly failed me, then I had to find validation within myself. And that's when and how I got to the place that I'm at now, where I know who I am. I know what I'm worth. You're not going to give me anything. I'm not just going to accept anything because of what you feel like I deserve.
Wow.
I'm going to accept what I feel like I deserve. And if you can't give me that, then I got to move around. And see, when you set those kind of expectations, this is what I found out. I found that everybody loves boundaries until it means a disservice to them.
My.
They love boundaries until you stop serving purposes for them, or until your boundaries create a haven for their negativity, or
Mm.
uh, a barricade, I should say, for their negativity. They love them. And everybody is an adult until it's a time to apologize,
My God.
until it's time to communicate. So I had to learn that there was certain things uh, that I needed to fix, but then there were also certain things that were perfect about me that other people tried to make imperfections. When really and truly, that if I get that around the right person, they'll cultivate and they'll mold that. But the wrong person will break it. I don't know if I'm going off on a tangent. You
Oh
can
no,
stop.
you're good. You're good. This
Mhm.
is what I do. I'm going to follow you. You're my
Yeah.
guest. You're
So
my guest.
yeah, I mean, these are just things that I think as black men we need to learn. We are. I saw a post earlier today that said we don't hear men talk about self care or self love, and I'm like, I believe in self care and I believe in self love. I love myself. I'll take a mental health day. I'll take a day. I'll go to a movie by myself. I'll go to the mall I have no problem with all of that because I learned that if I don't get away at some point, I'm going to be mean. I'm going to be abrasive. I'm going to take things out on the wrong people. And because I don't take that time to myself to step back and detach from everything else and care for me, I can't properly care for anybody else until I do that. And that's one thing that black men need to understand. It is critical for you to have self love and self care. Let no one tell you otherwise. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
You said quite a bit for me to unpack. Seeking outside validation, as you already said, will lead us into tumultuous situations. The way that I look at trauma is that it's a door and it's a gateway for other traumatic things to take place. I also look at trauma as a door and as a gateway for demonic possession, demonic influence, demonic activity. Because whenever you have been traumatized, that means that something that is foreign to something that's supposed to be sanitized, something that's supposed to be pure, pure, something that's supposed to
Mhm.
be etched out. If we make it synonymous to our immune system, when that entity begins to come in, then you become sick, and these are the symptoms. And so the fact that you said that you had all of these symptoms for all of these years. And up until the age of 33, you were not able to find the solution to that which was ailing you. And the transparency of which you speak, it's beautiful to me, because it shows a level of vulnerability, but it also shows a level of security and that which it is that you have been called to be. But that also shows that it's indicative of the amount of healing that you have done since being that little boy who was
Mhm.
born and raised on the south side of Chicago by a single mother with an absentee father, battling colorisms and different things that it is that you were going through. But what triggered you to get to this place that said that you will no longer seek for the outside for that which is within?
I got, I've been married twice.
Okay.
34 years old, 35, and been married twice. The first time, okay, the first time, I'm just going to be honest. I got married because I wanted to have sex. Grew up in a holiness church, and in that church, they taught us that you can't have sex outside of marriage. Well, I met somebody, and I met somebody, and how can I say this? It was good. Let me tell you that. I experienced it. It was good. I liked it. Kept going. You understand what I'm saying? And church found out, and it was either you get married, y'all leave each other alone, or you get sat down. I didn't want to get sat down, and I didn't want to leave her alone. So what I did was I married her. And I began at some point, I did love her, but I knew that after a while, this was just not the move. It's not the move I should have made. I did it out of lust and not really, and really, let me address that right there. That was a disservice to her because she had never been married.
Mm-hmm.
So that was selfish on my part to marry her because I wanted to have sex, and she said that she loved me. So, but I'm marrying you because wanted to have sex. So it was a disservice to her. So I had to go back to her and apologize. Fast forward. So after that, I think we were married for about 5 years. We divorced. I went right back into a relationship. This time I thought I was going to do it right. I'm doing it in the church. I'm dating in the church. Um, we're not having sex. Um, you know, we abstain until marriage, and then we get married, and sex is a problem. So I revert back to my old ways and start cheating. So it's just trauma on top of trauma. That marriage was uh, ended. That I don't even have time to unpack the level of toxicity that marriage caused. But I can say this is that for either one of those individuals, I harbor no bitterness. Um, my first wife and I, we're friends on Facebook. We communicate. Um, if I see her in public, we ain't looking each other up and down like why you here anymore. It's more so on an adult, mature level. My second wife and I don't necessarily have the same relationship, but there are um, no hard feelings. I mean, it's just one of those things where uh, when one person is controlled by other people to think a certain way about you, they can't really express anything publicly, but they'll do it privately. So I'll just say it like that. Um, those traumas led me to making those decisions. It led me to um, whoredom, you know, thinking that I could just go and sow my wild oats. I'm free now. After I got a divorce, I thought I was just free to just go about and do everything that I thought I was big and bad enough to do. And it wasn't until I was in my room one night and I was in a situation with somebody who had a live-in boyfriend, with her children. And after a certain time, I could not call her because she was at home. And I'm thinking to myself, this person has the ability to go home every night and be with someone. And here I am, lonely, can't call this person after 7 o'clock, and I'm empty. We have a good time when we together, but when you leave, I'm empty. And that feeling of emptiness is something I never wanted to experience again. But I learned that in order for me not to experience that and end up in that same situation, I needed to heal from what happened in my marriages and in all of my relationships. So when you ask me like what happened to get me to this point, it was a point of embarrassment and it was a point of broken. I had to really be broken for real, not just this fake broken, like, oh, hallelujah, Lord, I'm not going to do it no more. You know, what we saw on the altar. I had to really be broken and say, this is it. This is the last time I accept something like this. And and to that point, um, we have to realize that men can be side pieces too, and men fall victim to the same emotions that a woman will fall victim to in being a side piece. So,
Absolutely. You man, the topic that I've always gotten literally sick to my stomach about is the fact, the undeniable fact that the black church, at least from an apostolic standpoint, does not teach on. First of all, I'm gonna just drop a nugget for people. The word fornication does not mean what it is that we've been taught that it means. Fornication literally means porn, in the Greek, and it's because you
wow.
had temple prostitutes, um, in the Old and in the New Testament. You know, they over in Africa, over in Samaria, over in the Levant, and from the Ur Mesopotamia, they had temple prostitutes. A lot of these things, that's what was taking place in Sodom and Gomorrah and everything. Saying all that to say, the misapplication of marriage in the
Hmm.
black church, the lack of teaching on what dating truly is, the lack of teaching me how to be celibate, how to
Hmm.
control my flesh,
Hmm.
um how to actually heal childhood trauma before marriage is mentioned. We've
Yep.
been taught to raise our children to date in high school before their brains are ever fully developed, which does not happen until the age of 25. We don't know how to collect data, which is what dating is supposed to be. We see a
Hmm.
man or we see a woman, and if they come to church and if they speak in tongues and if they have some type of familiarity, and a lot of times this familiarity is strictly sexual, is strictly brokenness, is strictly trauma based. It has nothing to do with the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Come
And
on.
so when the church finds out that we have fallen into sin, instead of being like, okay, let's set up some boundaries. Do y'all really like each other? Or y'all just like how y'all make each other feel? Um, what's going on? The the three-tier option of, and you know what? Let me say this. The fact that your pastors even said anything about sitting you down, that's a 10% thing when it comes to men. And that's me speaking as a woman that's been pregnant in church. My second pregnancy is no secret, Joshua Nicholson. An amazing bass player. This man never got set down. Multiple men that I know operate in ministry while the women are set down. So I'll give the leadership that. But back to my
Well, let me
tangent.
let me say this too. Can I
Go ahead.
interject? My pastor, God rest his soul, that is my spiritual father above all, right? And so he did not play that. If you were shacking, male or female, you need to get your stuff together before you can minister. When I said that, he said, "Get this together, or you're gonna get sat down." I'm saying that it would. It then became my choice to say, like I said, I don't want to leave her alone because this is good, and I don't want to get sat down, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get married. So that's how that was put out there like that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, and see, he's talking about Pastor, the late and great Pastor Casey Stewart. He was a beautiful man, very humble, a rarity in Christianity. So when I speak, I'm not just, and he knows this, but I'm talking for my audience. I'm not specifically targeting at his pastor. I'm talking about Black Christianity at large. But thank you for putting that
Yeah,
addendum in there so the folk won't get nothing twisted, because
exactly.
you know how that go. You know how
Exactly.
that
They'll
go.
share this, and then I got to cut somebody up because that's not what I said. Put
Yeah,
that on me.
yeah.
That was I made the decision, and
But
he being a man of God didn't super. And that's another thing. Like these churches telling folks who their wife is and who their husband is. Never mind. Go ahead. Go ahead. Never
so
mind.
when we get into the Black church, and my daughter is 17, she's going to be 18 in May. My beautiful baby. Love you, Michi.
Hey,
And
niece.
your uncle said, "Hey, Meech." She said, "Hey." Sorry, y'all. That's a side note. I love my children. I'm healthily obsessed. She's 17. And so the way that I've taught her about red flags. I've taught her about different personality disorders, mental disorders, emotional disorders, her brother as well. I've taught her how to properly date, which is literally just collecting
Collect
information.
data. Yeah.
That's all it is. Dating means to collect data. And if I start to like you, that ain't none of your business. Because why do I like you? Do I like you because of how you look? Do I like you because of how you make me feel? Do I like you because you remind me of something that's familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Because in the church, we are not healed from childhood trauma. Let's talk about it. We are not healed from childhood trauma unless you meet a rarity that has been trained and that is prophetically ordained by the Most High God to walk people through their childhood trauma in a spiritual way. But you still need outside counseling. You still need different things that's going on. So, with that being said, we get married so quick and then wonder why we either have divorces or we have these marriages that are full of lasciviousness, full of nefarious deeds, full oh my God, well, I'm gonna just say it, full of homosexual tendencies. Black women in the Christian church are obsessed with bisexual men. Black men in the Christian church are obsessed with women who are still hoes, and we ain't got it together. And I mean, you said it. You got married because you wanted to juice on something. And you admitted it was a disservice to her as a woman. But if her as a woman was molded the way that she was supposed to be molded, if
Yeah.
you as a man were molded as much as you were supposed to be molded, then we would not have these multiple divorces before the age of 34, before the age of 35. What are some red flags that you would say, and I'm gonna give you space to answer this on both sides, for men and for women, and also some boundaries? So there's three parts, some boundaries that you can build for the church, because the church is nosy. And the church ain't got no business doing what it is that they do, because when we come to church
Woo!
with our relationship problems, then they want to tell you, you know what, go ahead and answer them questions. I'm finna go on mute before I take it there.
Listen. I got some advice for the church. You want to hear my advice for the church? Mind y'all damn business. Mind your goddamn business. See, and I first of all, okay, red flags. I'm gonna go here with men. If you cannot properly, and I say properly, let me adjust my camera. Lord have mercy. Oh, okay. If you cannot properly address your anger without yelling, screaming, and shouting and being disrespectful, you are not ready for marriage. Because you will do that, turn around and apologize, and expect her to give you some head at the end of the night. What I have learned is that, ooh, my niece is listening. Lord Jesus.
She's
What I have
17, baby. We talk real. You good?
what I have learned is that sex is a conversation that starts in the morning. Did you hear what I said? Sex is a conversation that starts in the morning. It starts with good morning. It starts with, hey, beautiful. It starts with I took out the garbage. I dusted off your car because it had snow on it. Do you understand what I'm saying? There are little gestures that start before you get to the bedroom. If you're trying to start sex, by the time you get to the bedroom, you're too late. You are too late. That being said, what you say throughout the day affects her at the end of the night because you will have apologized for calling her a B word, but in her mind, she's still a B word when she lays her head down on that pillow. She's still thinking about those words that you said to her at 11 o'clock when you were angry and frustrated and you just wanted to snap and go off on somebody. You don't think about it because now you're ready to go, but she's still thinking about that. And so if you're not ready to handle those kind of things, and you really shouldn't be handling those kind of things, but if that's the way you express yourself, you're not ready for marriage. If you are selfish and narcissistic, you are not ready for marriage. Narcissism, what that looks like is I'm telling you something that offends me, and you tell me how you're offended by what I'm offended by, and make that about me when really and truly you're the one who created the offense.
Mm-hmm.
So we pointing the blame game and making other people feel like their feelings are not, and this is men and women, making other people feel like their feelings are not valid. I tell people this now. I said, listen, when somebody tells you something about how they feel, the proper response is, I don't fully understand why you feel that way. Hold on. I'm sorry that you feel that way. This is how I felt about the situation. And you should be able to have a calm conversation when you respond like that. Now, if somebody blow off when you respond like that, they just crazy and they want to be mad anyway. But my thing is, if you don't learn how to communicate in a non-selfish, non-gaslighting, and non-narcissistic way, you're not ready for marriage, male or female. You are not ready for marriage because marriage is going to test the inner gangster in you. And there are going to be times where you're going to want to punch your spouse in the mouth. And if you don't have that under control, I don't care what they say. The first 3 years are tough. The first 3 years are as tough as you make them. Did you hear me? They are as tough as you make them. You're going to face trials, you're going to face tribulations, but sometimes what I think these people define as tough is the stuff that they're bringing into the marriage that they shouldn't have brought into the marriage in the first place, which makes it tougher. Yes, it's tough to live with somebody you've never lived with. Yes, it's tough to adjust to being two people in the house when it's just one. But on top of having to deal with your daddy issues and your controlling mama and your nasty mouth and your trifling ways, that makes it tougher. So if you don't get all of that together, you're not ready for marriage. Now you will never be 100% uh, together, quote unquote, but you need to be at least 80. You should come with at least 80% charge. If you come in with 70 and you in counseling, we can kind of work with that. But anything under that, you need to get straight first. Get straight. And then, yeah, narcissism, violent behavior. If you are a fool with money while you're dating, hear me. If they are bad with money while you're dating, that will not change when you say I do. As a matter of fact, it is going to get worse when you say I do. And don't think that you can teach them a budget. Don't think that you can be so disciplined that they're gonna follow you. If you are not good with money before marriage, you won't magically get good with money after marriage.
Mm.
Again, this is male or female, you know. Um, and just in the dating processes, if you can't meet his mama, why? Y'all dating, y'all been dating for 6 months, y'all slacking cheeks. but you can't meet his mama. You can't meet his family. You can't call him after a certain time. Or he go, you texting all day, and after 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, he shut down. It ain't cause he sleeps, sis. He don't want to get caught. Take this from somebody that's done it. If you've been texting him all day, and round about 7 o'clock, you begin to notice there are some changes in the rhythm of his text, in the tone of his text, in the wording in his text messages. Sis, you ain't the only one. You've been dating 6 months and ain't never went on no date. Sorry to break it to you, that's not your boyfriend. And as a matter of fact, he doesn't even really think highly enough of you to be seen in public. I'm saying these things because I've seen these scenarios play out in different women, and I'm just trying to tell you from a man's perspective, don't be so hung up on the ping that you forget that you are still worth something, and you just place your value on the sexual part. Like, you know,
Love
I just
that.
went on a tangent. I'm sorry,
No, you're
but
good.
these are red flags. And then with women, the biggest red flag that I've noticed from women is this: that as long as your love language is being taught, my love language is foreign to you.
Wow.
It's like you understand English when it comes to you, but when I start trying to speak my love language is Spanish and no comprende. It's a big problem. We have said this errant term, and I think most women inherently become selfish with it. Happy wife, happy life, which means or which suggests that the man can be unhappy and providing all of this happiness for his woman and die an unhappy soul. And if you never check
Mhm.
back in to see if that man is unhappy, red flag. Case that's the biggest red flag for women for me is that you don't check back in to see if the man is unhappy. As long as you're happy, as long as you smiling and everything is a bed of roses for you, you don't check back in on his mental health. How was your day? How are you doing? What can I do to be a better person? Because a lot of women feel like I'm giving you the coochie, I'm we going on dates, I'm giving you head, I ain't asking you for nothing. I'm all right. And really and truly, that man want a hug. You can buy that man. I bought you a pair of shoes. What that mean? When my when I want to hear I love you. My love language is words of affirmation. It ain't gifts. Gifts mean nothing to me. But you think because you bought me this or you're giving me this. No. For me, you can buy me a gift and I'm going to appreciate it, but I want your arms around me. I want you to rub the back of my neck. Come on, like tell me, rub my head or something. Just touch me to let me know that you're there and that I don't know who on this live, so I don't need to be saying all this, but just touch me in some form or fashion. Tell me that, I'm the best boyfriend you've ever had. Jordan's is cool. Love Jordans. But Jordan ain't gonna keep me warm tonight. You are. You understand what I'm saying? So that part, I think we are missing how to speak more so for women. I've seen this a lot among women. They're missing how to speak their partner's love language. I don't know if you agree or not, but I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I accidentally went on mute. I said, no, I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel. I agree with you. I have no opposition to anything that you said, if anything, expounding. Um, red flags. And so we have a viewer from the UK and it just made me feel really good. It's 1 o'clock in the morning there, and I believe it's a female, whoever it is, they have two daughters. And so they said that they are going to view this so that they can put them on game. So with that being said, I'm gonna give some more red flags just based on us talking, and then expound on what it is that you said. I love how you said that if the text messages begin to switch up and things of that nature. And also, if you are dating someone and they haven't taken you on a date. Now, ladies, he mentioned my father. I was born and raised in a way where my daddy take me on dates. My daddy took me on my first date. My daddy would get my
Mm-hmm.
nails done alongside my big sister and my mother every 2 weeks when I turned 13 years old. So it's just certain things that I am used to. But as a woman of wisdom, I
Mm-hmm.
tell men this: you don't have to spend $200 on the first date. It's
Mm.
nice and it feels good because I like it. I'm not gonna say I don't like it, but I'm going to be honest with you. When a man will take you out for a cup of coffee or a picnic, a walk on a park, you know what I'm saying? A intimate sip and paint. Let's go to the bookstore so that you can actually get to know this person. Let's have some type of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say that is not only a red flag when a man does not take you out, because that's what you call, I know you said that sometimes they're ashamed to be seen with you in public. A lot of times men will say, I don't believe in going on dates, I don't believe in spending my money, because why am I going to spend my money on someone who I don't know I'm gonna be with? That's something else. That's something else. But this is what we call breadcrumbing as well. A lot of times they will give you
Mm.
just a little bit to keep you interested. And so since you went into narcissism, I'm going to give you guys some ding words to look into. This is what a narcissistic person does. It's literally like feeding a bird. They're going to give you enough for your palate to be satisfied so that they can keep you coming back for more. Okay? Also, we know that we live in a age where a lot of things are done via text message. I prefer texting. I'm an
Mm-hmm.
introvert, but I'm a mom, but I haven't met enough people that's even worthy of my verbal conversation because it's draining. It's draining. But I'm also a woman. Let's talk about setting boundaries. That you can't call my phone after a certain time. But let's go deeper. There are people, man, female included, whom I have come in contact with, whether it be social media or in real life. You can't even have my phone number. You can't have my phone number. So if you ever hit me up in Messenger or something like that and you have my number, it's either because we've met in real life. And even if we met in real life, that'll mean that you're going to have my phone number. So a lot of times, us as women, excuse me, us as women, we lack so many boundaries. And because we've been groomed by the church, groomed by the Black family dynamic to exude such a sense of desperation because we husband chasing without even knowing how to be a wife, husband
What you say?
chasing and
What,
husband chasing.
husband chasing.
We
Okay.
won't even chase after the Most High God. You know what I'm saying? We won't even run on a treadmill. Like, let's talk about it. You won't even chase after your dreams. And since we are having an adult conversation, because we grown, and I love how you said that a lot of women in well, I say a lot, I don't want to say most. So a lot of women, or some women, are very spoiled because we have been taught to be one dimensional. Like you said, as long as we're sex, and a lot of times it's subpar because we don't know our bodies. I'm not going to include me in there. But when I say we don't know our bodies. We've been out here having pointless sex since the age of 13, 14, 15, 16. So you're getting humped on and you're getting rotted out. You're not climaxing. You're not having any enjoyment, but you're giving of yourself, of your essence. And you're not even enjoying it. That's the
Let's
aspect.
let's go a little further. You give up yourself to so many people, get married, and act like you don't know what you're doing.
And so, okay, I'm on that, right? So even when you said that a man will call a woman out of her name, get married when they have no control over your mouth. This is men and women. I see a lot of men who freely call women female dogs. You ain't finna talk to me like that. Because if I have to jump out this box, I leap and I pounce. The lioness in West Africa, she does the hunting. She sees the prey. She brings it
Mm-hmm.
back home. But unfortunately, we have a generation of men who can call women out of their name and still get panties thrown at them. We have a generation of women who think that it's acceptable for a man to call you out of your name. And I mean, the bed in marriage is undefiled. So, like, if that's what you need in your bedroom, but I'm talking when we ain't being grown folk. I'm talking about when we're just being human beings.
Right.
And there's no, and you won't even have to call somebody out of their name. This is for women. I've seen a woman, many women, just talk to their man any type of way. And I be sitting there like, for real? That's how you finna talk to him? Now, if he snatch you, even though he's not supposed to, I'm not advocating violence, not advocating abuse. Y'all know what I'm saying. You guys know exactly what I'm saying. And I'll just sit back and be like, that's embarrassing. That's
Mm-hmm.
emasculating. Even as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some instances. I've been in some instances where I've been tried by one person. And when a woman has to step into a realm that which isn't foreign to her, because of virtue in Hebrew means literally strength. So if you're a woman of virtue, you're supposed to be a woman of strength. But you should not have to use your strength in a certain area in your own home to protect yourself from that which is supposed to be protection of you. So
Yeah.
when we get into these red flags and all the woman has to offer is cooking and cleaning, and I'm sorry, a lot of women can't even cook. When all a man has to offer is going to work and being provider. But that's because we have boxed each other in, and we have done one another and each other such a disservice that we say, well, as long as she has it together and she can cook and she can clean, and I know that she'll give me some at the end of the night, then I'm a wifer. And a lot of times you men marry women because of the amount of mess that a woman will deal with in the courtship and the dating.
Listen.
So we have a lot of
Listen.
women that have been labeled and called wife that have not began to fulfill the duty of wife. And if you guys go back and you view the interview that I did with LaDonna Jones, she's in the chat right now. She will break down some things that she did as a wife. She said that she would pray over her husband and rub his back, knowing she had to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning for work, but she'll set her alarm at 5 o'clock in the morning, and he just got off work overnight, anointed his shoes before he went to work, cooked for him, cleaned for him, ironed his clothes, fasted for him, prayed for him. These are the duties of a wife. But in turn, her husband first had to give her something to lead. If we take it biblical with Abraham and with Sarai. So if we supposed to be a Bible-based believing people, Romeo, how do we get so cut off and ignoring all of these red flags in our community?
You know what? I used to blame the church we grew up in, but now I blame not listening
Mm.
because it. Now a lot of what we were taught was dogma. You can't do this, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that. But out of those dogmatic, I guess, views, we all can glean something because they weren't all for naught. What I'm saying, um, you wake up, you have those aha moments, like, man, that's what they meant. That's what they meant when they said don't date this kind of girl because she gonna do this. Or that's what they meant when they said don't date this kind of dude. But a lot of things that we did because they said don't do it. And out of curiosity, we went and did what they said don't do and got ourselves in trouble. It's kind of like my favorite movie is The Lion King, right? So you remember when Simba was sitting with Mufasa and he said, you can go everywhere that the light touches, but that dark spot over there, you can't go. And what did Simba do? He went and got his friend, his future wife, baby mama, whatever, and they went over there and got in trouble. It wasn't that Mufasa was trying to keep him from having fun. Mufasa was trying to protect him. And I think that a lot of stuff that we call bondage, we really didn't realize that they were really trying to protect us with some of that stuff. And so I had to go back to my mama and say, you know what, mom, thank you for not letting me stay out past 10 o'clock as a little kid. Thank you for making me come in when the street lights was on. Thank you for not letting me go to everybody's house. Didn't understand it then, but I understand now. You were trying to protect me. You didn't know any better. You see what I'm saying? Like you didn't know
Well, I see.
some of your ways you did things. You didn't know any better. You didn't know how to handle it any better. So you did what you knew. And I thank you because in what you knew, uh, it helped me a lot. So um, the way we got here, especially with our generation, most or a lot of our generation, is we had some of the guidance that we needed.
Hmm.
We didn't want to listen. We wanted to grow up before it was time to grow up, and then we got ourselves in some trouble. The other thing too is uh, a lot of us were just thrown to the wolves.
Mm.
So you 18 now, so you grown, you make your own decisions. I did what I was supposed to do, not realizing that you're going to forever be a parent. And 18 don't necessarily mean that that person is capable to make decisions. They still need guidance. And so the black family is notorious for throwing their young away at a certain age and just letting them fend for themselves. When we look at our counterparts, when they're young, go away to college, and after they get out of college, they don't have to go find no job. They don't have to leave the house. They don't leave the house till they find a job. And while they're there, let's deal with this. While they're there, even after college, their parents are not concerned with them paying rent in their house. But we've raised people, oh, you got to get it like we got it. I told somebody I refuse to let my child get it like I got it. Because my very exist, the Bible says that a wise man sets up an inheritance for his children and his children's children, right? So my very existence is created to make them not have to deal with what I dealt with. And if I make them deal with what I dealt with, I'm just placing the trauma that I went through on them. So now they got to deal with my trauma on top of the stuff that they got to go through, and it's not fair. So I think that it's on both sides. We didn't want to listen, and they wanted to throw us away. So I think that's how we got here.
I agree with you 100%. My parents told us a lot. And I mean, you know, my parents have publicly, so this isn't me telling their business, talking under my mama skirt or in my father's pants. My parents share the testimony often that they fell into sin. They was, according to them, these are not my words, humping like rabbits for about 8 weeks straight. And because my father was the youngest minister in his church at the age of 16, and my mama was very active, they noticed when they weren't coming to church. Because much like their daughter, when they was in sin, they weren't finna be coming to church because we're not finna play with the Most High. Like it's just not happening. But the pastors called them in and asked them what's going on. They confessed. Then the next 9 months throughout their engagement, they waited. So this is something that my parents told me. My mom openly shared her story about getting pregnant at the age of 19 while she was away at college. So me becoming a single mother has nothing to do with any inadequacy on my parents' part. Can I factor in childhood trauma and all of these other things? Yes, I can. But if we being honest, we grown. And when you grown and you like to do something, then that's what you end up doing, regardless of your propensities and your idiosyncrasies. I have to stop using words like that, regardless of
No,
what
you
it is.
don't. No, you don't. Because I understand, even
I
if they
know
don't.
you do, but
Mhm.
you already know the little flack that I take. But this is how I really
Yeah.
talk. Regardless of how it is that you feel in your flesh, regardless of what it is that appeases you. With that being said, I despise within my core the failure that the Black community at large, not in totality, sets their children up for failure. My baby, about to be 18. She's going to be an entrepreneur. She has a lot going for herself. And she's telling me, Mommy, I want to at least get a job for the summer. Do, 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 do. And I hear her. But I'm not going to tell you that I hear her. And I've told her, is I don't want to stunt your growth. I want to control you. I'm not going to tell you that you don't work. Don't that I'm not going to let you get a job. I would prefer if you created your own income. The most you going to have to do, not even have to do, the most that I would allow you to do, pay your own phone bill. If you
Mm-hmm.
want some weave that costs more money than I'm willing to spend at that point, do that for yourself. If you decide that you want to randomly buy yourself a pair of shoes, buy your little brother a pair of shoes, do that. But
Mm-hmm.
a young woman who's around the age of 24, which to me is still a child, I'm just be honest, still a child, told me, I just don't agree with that. I don't understand how your kids are going to learn how to pay bills and how to do this and all of that when you're not requiring them to do so. I can teach them what adult responsibilities are without giving them the responsibility of an adult. I birthed you. You belong to me. You
Exactly.
are
And
my possession. It is
you
my
teach
job and my due diligence to take care of you. You're not paying bills in this house. And I'm still not going to be like, this is my house and you could get out. This is our house. I mean, you could get out if you need to, but 18 does not mean grown,
that.
because if you're
No.
grown to me at 18, that means that you're grown to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
You're
No.
not grown. And that is a disservice that we do. We don't build up generational wealth that way. We
Mm-hmm.
have our children going through stress and running their bodies down and their mentals down, and they're grinding hard when they should be focusing on school and focusing on their academics and seeing what it is that they want to do in their life. So I agree with you 100% that it's two sides of everything. Romel,
So
Casmir,
on that
oh, go
though,
ahead.
I had a conversation with my uh ex-wife, like, oh Jesus, last ex-wife, and I said to her, I said, I'm gonna, when my children come out of the womb, I'm setting up a college fund, and I'm gonna put money in this college fund, so that when they turn 18 and they decide to go to college, or if they don't, they can still have the money because it's theirs anyway. Um, I said they're going to have this so they can go to college and they don't have to worry about anything. And I quote, this is what she said: "My mama made me pay for college out of my pocket. They gonna have to learn." And I said, that's why you in a hell of a lot of debt. That's why we have to pay these debts off. That's why you and I have a lot of student loan debt, because our parents, well, my mom just didn't have it. She didn't have it. She couldn't send me to school, so I had to go get loans. But if your mother had the ability to send you to school and chose not to, so you can learn the lesson, I'm sorry, sweetie, but you were abused.
Whoa, that's
You
pause,
were
right?
abused.
I agree 100%. You know, my health issues and different things like that. Angelina, thankfully, she was able to. She did a Walmart commercial, so my baby is ahead when it comes to certain things. But you already know how I am. I had her at 17, so different struggles and different things that she's been on the journey with me with. And I've talked to her about this. There are some things that Anaya will experience at a younger age that you didn't experience, but when you teach your children about debt and about credit cards and about these things, but I love how you revealed to her that that's abusive. A lot of things that we have been taught is normal in the Black family dynamic, in the Black church, and Black marriages are really abusive behaviors when you do not place your child in a position to be one up above you, when you place your child, or even place your spouse in competition with children, then you are not doing your children a disservice so that this generation can be greater. Cash, I want you to, before we get ready to wrap up, we're going to go for a few more minutes. Drop your Cash app in the chat in case anyone wants to give you a donation. Cash app, PayPal, at Survivor Scribe, we do believe in, if our audience are being fed, if you guys so feel to donate, because this is something to me that's a testimony. And even if you don't crack open a Bible, when someone shares of their life, my mother always taught me that your greatest testimony and the greatest witnessing tool that you will ever have, is sharing of your life. So I do appreciate you for sharing with us tonight in such depth and such transparency. As a woman, on tonight, as a mother, as a single mother, I really, really, really thank you, because you have definitely been feeding us on tonight. What are some words that you can give us, men, women, so that we can get beyond our childhood trauma, so that we can get beyond and stop looking for outside validation, so that we can rise to the place that we need to be.
First of all, you said Evangelist LaDonna Jones was on here. Woman of God, the thoughts and opinions that you have heard tonight, uh, I don't express these kind of things over the pulpit, but uh, catch me during the week, I might say some stuff. But I just believe in being me. You know, I love Jesus, but I got a little Peter in me. I cuss a little bit. You know, I like, you know, hey, whatever your conviction is, you live by that conviction. But I just want to put that out there, and I want to thank Shani. That's my friend from college for
Hey,
uh,
Shani.
dropping on. I thank her. She saw the link and stuff like that, so she's on. I want to thank her for that. Um, and she has an awesome testimony too.
Oh,
Um, but what was your question? I'm sorry, I went off on the tangent.
no,
What's
just
work?
give some words that you would give to us, Black women, Black men, as we are healing and stop seeking outside validation, because a lot of us are in a season of revisiting childhood trauma and coming into an awakening.
Go to counseling. Go to therapy. You need it. I don't care what your mama and granddaddy said and grandma said. You need therapy. Um, because in the long run, if you don't get therapy, you're gonna act like Antonio Brown, taking
Oof.
your clothes off in public, just doing a whole bunch of stuff. Now he had, let me qualify, he had some other things going on, right? Let me qualify that. But what I'm saying is, any one of us are liable to have that kind of moment at any time if you don't get the proper help. So you need help. You need a support system. You need friends, but you also need a therapist. And you need Jesus, but you need a therapist too. Okay. And it's not a cuss word, it's not taboo. Um, so don't be afraid. And do not be afraid to express how you want to be loved. And when somebody does not love you how you have expressed that you want to be loved, it's time for you to go.
Mm.
It's time for you to move around because I'll give you two times, but after that third time, three strikes you out. This is baseball. I'm gone. Okay, we're not doing that. This is 2022. If you got to keep repeating yourself, that's too much like begging.
Mm.
You got to go. You have to go. So don't be repeating yourself. Go to counseling. Love yourself enough to know when something is toxic. You, when you have loved yourself properly, you begin to feel sick when the toxicity comes in. And so you should be your own immune system and say,
Mm.
nope, I'm not dealing with it. Nope, you're not going to do this. I'm going to tell you, I don't like this. So that when I move around, you're not surprised. So, my biggest thing right now, love yourself enough to say, I'm worth being loved properly.
Mm.
Because if you don't see it, nobody else will. That's my words. You know,
I love
you taking me out of my comfort zone because I don't, this ain't. I ain't got no Bible. I ain't got no mic. So, you know, I mean, this is YouTube in front of people I don't know. So, um, I thank you. Um, you have always been one to pull me out of a comfort zone. I mean, we would be in service, and Tierra would be like, "Prophesy." What, bro? What? Your mama prophesy,
Would
bro.
you
I have
not have a
nothing
word
to
though?
say. I have nothing to say. I came to service. Be laying hands, talking about some help. Like, oh man, come on, bro. But it was always a pull, and I appreciate it. So yeah,
Of course, and thank you once again for coming on. Thank you guys for viewing. I would love to have you back, maybe sometime in March, and if not on here before then, on my Instagram live, because there are
mm,
some other things that I would love to touch in with you, a little more in depth. But we could, talk about that offline. Do you have any businesses, any ministries, any events or anything you want to go ahead and plug?
Other than I don't really want to plug them right now,
Okay.
but the written strategist is definitely a business that I have. I guess when we do some business talk, then we can kind of delve into that. But I really just wanted to focus on just on the matter at hand. We're talking about self love, and this is your platform, so um, I want to promote you, Jacola's gems, and your oils and things like that. So my time will come. I've always been like that. My time, I can push anybody from the back, and that's been partly my problem. This second man type thing, and
Which
I'm
is why I
pushing.
said go ahead and plug us up, y'all. When he launched everything, I'm gonna bring him back and we're gonna have like a webinar on something so that he can talk to you guys. Look, I'm not gonna play with him, but since he
No, 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 no. But I'm just saying, like I'm excited for what you're doing. I think this is a comfortable space to help people. Is actually helped me um, get over my uh, ambiguity about being in front of the camera. So I appreciate this, and I'm enjoying it. We could have went another hour if people's attention span wasn't short.
yes,
And I got
we'll
to
have
go
a
to the
part two.
bathroom.
No, we'll have a part two, and I told Donna the same thing, especially because it's a blog, and just for time because we could talk all day. It's an interesting conversation. It's
Right.
something that needs to be talked about, and it's healing for the soul. And so I do look forward to bringing you on back again. You guys, once again, his cash app is CROMELLEZ. I will leave it down in the description as well. So after this live ends and somebody comes back to rewatch, bless the people for what it is that has been sown out. And as Casmir mentioned, I do have a small business. Since we're talking about healthcare, I will leave a link to that as well. You have anything else for us before we end out?
Love yourself and F everybody else. Amen. Yeah.
I love you so much. Well, I love all of you guys. Thank you for joining. Do me a favor, share this video on your social media platforms. Feel free to subscribe to the channel as well as to like and to comment. With that being said, this is Jacolia from Jacolia Gems. Thank you guys.